confrontational, for lack of a better term, instead of complimentary. So it had been that way probably for the first 50 years of this thing.
I'm not going to lie to you, but we were chatting it up earlier with Dave Prater, vice president with Feld Motorsports, before he joined us. And he joins us now here in the Freak Nation. And Prater, finding out that you were hired at Feld almost the same time we started this damn show, you look pretty damn good for a guy that's, 75, 76, if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, thanks. It's I've always said it's not the years, it's the mileage. So, it may be a lot more than 22. So we've got some miles on us.
All right. Well, let's be honest. We've got you on here because the announcement came out earlier this week that there is a $10 million purse that's someone found this in someone's pockets before they were putting the jeans in the washer. $10 million purse collectively between motocross and supercross, and you're establishing another smaller, shorter series between those two entities for this $10 million purse. Can you work us through the elevator pitch on how this came about and this $10 million that was found?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be tough to put it in an elevator pitch, but I'll do the best I can. So it really all began in 2020 with a conversation that myself and Todd Gendro had with MX Sports, Kerry Coombs, and Davey Coombs. So went to Daytona and really would just went there with the intent to have a conversation about growing the sport and how we could better work together, because over my 22 years, we'd never really done that. It was really siloed as far as Supercross and Motocross goes. So had that conversation, walked out of there with really not much of a plan, just kind of hey, we're going to help each other sell tickets. And a week later is when the world shut down and COVID shut down Indianapolis Supercross. And we really were forced to start working together much more closely in an effort just to finish our 2020 seasons. So started that collaboration. MX Sports moved the motocross season back a bit so we could finish our 7 races in Salt Lake City. And just through constant communication really on that and getting that, finished, we started to realize that there were a lot more similarities between the two companies than we first believed. And we started kind of discussing what it would be like to pool our resources and go to market together in certain areas. So the first item that was up was MX Sports media rights. And they had a year left on their NBC deal. We had 2 years left. And so they really had never been that closely aligned as far as chronologically. So started discussing taking it to market together as one Supercross and Motocross package. And once we did that, started getting a lot of traction, a lot of interest from media companies and from, just across the board on what this would look like as a larger championship, not just 2 individual championships. So that's kind of how it went. And then it grew from there as we spoke to more media companies and just more people in the industry in general. The one thing we kept hearing is modern sports fans, albeit mostly stick and ball, but modern sports fans have come to expect a postseason playoff system as well as a Super Bowl or, World Series, a crowning event, if you will. So that's not quite the elevator pitch because it's tough to put all that in a few floors, but that's kind of how it all started and came together.
That's the John Hancock building elevator pitch. That works.
Exactly.
That works.
Summer is finally here. Cookouts, pool parties, and rising gas prices. Time to start using Lucas Fuel Treatment. Lucas Fuel Treatment improves mileage, increases power, and lowers emissions. It's a virtual tune-up in a bottle. Just pour it directly into the tank for a dramatic improvement in the performance of your vehicle. Good for gas and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. Get it now at your local auto parts store.
Dave Prater, Vice President, Feld Motorsports, of course, the behemoth behind Supercross, now partnering up with Outdoor for a $10 million purse for the smaller series that's going to go off postseason. And you touched on something about, I can't remember exactly what you said, but they're 22 years of Speed Freaks. They motocross, Supercross, like at one time, kart and IndyCar. You look at the kart and IndyCar cars, they look the same. You look at a motocross bike, Supercross bike, they look the same. But the way the entities treated the series, we weren't. And the fans got jobbed on that, frankly. And so it had to be, I would think, was it a breaking of bread where you got you guys in the room with the motocross guys? Because there was a split there that we're better. No, we're better because we were the original. No, we got more fans here. How did that happen? Because there was a big divide there.
Yeah, definitely there was. I mean, we were confrontational, for lack of a better term, instead of complimentary. So it had been that way probably for the first 50 years of this thing. So it was something that was just kind of there, and had been that way for, like we said, since 1972. But I don't know about the breaking of bread. I think it was a long process from that meeting in Daytona in 2020 through COVID. But we all, both MX Sports and Feld Motorsports, started realizing that, look, we're definitely stronger together than we are as two separate entities. So we want to still maintain the integrity of the Supercross Championship and the integrity of the Motocross Championship, but we really are two variations of the same sport. So to your point, let's take this and do what's right by the fans and make it that much more exciting.
So the Motocross Supercross fan base wants to say, oh, this is a knee-jerk reaction to the World Motocross Championship that was announced. Oh, of course, this had to happen. Please shut them up, I guess, first of all. And then second of all, let's just talk about how powerful this will be and how you guys have arguably a better game plan. Facts.
No, yeah, it's definitely, in no way a reaction. It was born in 2020, and it's just been really, like we've talked about on this call so far, it's just been an evolution of us meeting and understanding it and doing some research. We sent out some fan surveys in early 21, asking, because we were getting excited about it in early 21, but we wanted to make sure that, hey, we're not too close to it. Let's ask the fans what they think. And the fans came back overwhelmingly that, look, we'd love to see a unified championship. We do believe that this is really two variations of the same sport. So, I mean, it was a no-brainer after we got those surveys back.
And then when you make these tracks, it's going to be a kind of a 3-race series after the motocross series ends. It's just going to be a phenomenal way to cap a true champion in both 250s and 450s. But when you make these tracks, whether it's the Coliseum in LA or other locations, how will these tracks differentiate from a Supercross track normally, because they are in stadiums?
Yeah, it'll be tough. So it's for lack of a better term, we've used the term hybrid, but really they're going to be distinct. We want them to be both Supercross and motocross and have aspects of both. You can't really fit a motocross track inside a modern stadium. It's just too small. So we're going to have to go to unique venues. LA Coliseum is probably one of the modern stadiums. I say modern, but one of the stadiums that still exists that it will fit in, because it's got a larger floor. We can go up into the peristyle that's traditionally been done. But so that's cool, and we're excited about that. But we're really looking at, super speedways or just unique sporting venues, or just venues in general that you wouldn't think Supercross or motocross are going to go to. But we're definitely looking at those and creating unique tracks. We're working with the OEMs, working with the riders to make sure that those tracks, are acceptable and do represent both sports in an equal way.
Okay, hold on just a second. So the little Supercross teaser at Indianapolis Motor Speedway that was happening with some four-wheel mobiles as well, was that a foreshadowing?
You never know, Crash. There's a lot of foreshadowing going on. I think all the possibilities. We don't want to limit any possibilities, so we're open to any and all ideas right now.
For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Wow. Dave Prater is the vice president of Feld Motorsports, specializing in Supercross, putting together this massive series. Only 3 events they're starting with, melding together Lucas Oil Motocross Series and the Monster Energy Supercross Series. I introduced you, Dave. There it is.
Thanks, Dad, man. I appreciate it.
Now, I'm going to ask you a delicate question here.
All right.
It comes from a serious place. I've been involved in motorsports a long time, and the Sports Car Club of America used to be the place where they would go to sanction mall racing. They had a pro division, and that pro division just didn't meet the needs of pro racers. It was specializing in amateur racing, Sports Car Club of America, SCCA. And now you're going to put the sanctioning body behind this. It sounds like it's going to be with AMA, and the AMA Pro Racing, even though the organization specializes in amateur motorcycle riders. Is that going to be a problem? The SCCA couldn't do it. I don't know if the AMA can do it, because you're bringing together a $10 million series that's going to have a lot of tentacles that are going throughout the motocross motorcycle industry.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge. And you bring up a good point, but AMA sanctions Supercross, AMA Pro sanctions motocross. So the other thing that's been, benefit to this collaboration is the fact that both those organizations, while they sound the same, they are 2 individual organizations, have also been involved. So they're working together. We want to make this as good as it can be for everyone involved. So AMA Pro are both working together in order to come up with a plan where these 2 playoff races and the World Championship round can be sanctioned and operated and officiated as efficiently as and fairly as possible. So AMA Pro, and all the OEMs, along with MX Sports and Feld Motorsports, we've created a steering committee for that, along with multiple other, issues that are going to come up during this process. So had our first meeting 2 weeks ago, and we plan on having another one here shortly.
That sounds like a lot of people in the same room.
It is.
Are you expecting increased fields? I don't know. When I was reading about this, it hit me that how many riders do both, and is this going to be increased fields where you're going to have a crowded track?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the entries are extremely strong, but most, I'd say, I don't have the exact number, but I'd say 90 to 95% of our riders do race both. So I think we'll be fine. I mean, we typically, for a Supercross event, get between 90 to 100 entries. That's qualified down to 80 for the night show. And then motocross typically gets a few more entries. But same thing, they have 40 rider gate. Supercross has a 22 rider gate, but for the most part, it's the same riders. And then the top 22 in combined points at the end of the motocross season will go and be seeded into the Super Motocross playoffs.
Wow. So it sounds like, maybe Dave Prater, Vice President of Feld Motorsports, it sounds like with this much money at stake, you're going to have some people from overseas more than normally come to Supercross or motocross because the money brings people, and the TV will bring people. Do you expect a lot of more international field?
Yeah, well, I mean, we already have a strong international presence, and we have for many, many years. Supercross and AMA Pro Motocross have always, attracted international talent, and we continue to do so. But you're right. I think anytime you raise the level and raise the stakes in anything, you're going to get more attention. So I definitely think we're going to attract even more international riders by going and partnering together.
Dave, let me ask you one more. I'm sure in these meetings that you're having with all of your partners, you're going to have some broadcasters in there. I would assume that this $10 million is coming up from a lot of their pockets. So they're going to be able to rattle the cage a little bit and say, hey, let's make it look like this.
Yeah, I think anytime, especially in modern sports, I mean, media rights are driving a lot of it. So, yeah, whichever media partner we land with, we'll definitely take their feedback. And that's really no different than what's been going on the last several years. So, yeah, I think anytime you get to this type of level in anything, you're going to have folks that are spending real money that want to say in what's going on.
You're going to be taking the top 22 riders in both series, Dave Prater, Vice President.
No, the combined
combined
points.
Well, hold on a second. Top 22 riders in motocross, top 22 riders in supercross. Hold on, Crasher. Hold on. Let me finish this. And whatever it is, you're going to nail it down to the top 22 riders. Okay, Crasher, whatever. The top 22 riders. My point is, how do you get to those top 22 riders to join? Is it basically, what's going to be the abacus that you use to get these 22 riders?
Well, I think Crash with what she was trying to say. So we're going to take the points, the combined points. So say you score 300 points in Supercross and 300 points in motocross. That'll give you 600 combined points.
Okay.
Say that's number one. He's the regular season champ, if you will. Second place is 590 points. So those 22 will go into the playoffs seeded, and we'll reset the points. And we're still working through exactly how we're going to do that with the OEs, but we'll reset the points so that regular season points leader has an advantage going into the playoffs over second place. And then
what's that advantage? Do they get to pick their choice at the gate?
No, a point advantage. So whether that's one race worth of Supercross points, so a typical Supercross race, the winner is 23 points or 26 points. Second place is 23, third 21, and so on. So whether we reset it to one race worth of points, which seems logical and seems like the direction we're going to go, but it's still up for discussion with the OEs. But that's really what it is. So your regular season results are going to give you an advantage going into the playoffs. And then at the playoffs, we're going to actually up the points a bit for each playoff round. So it just raises the stakes, and the drama also gives those guys who maybe didn't perform as well in the regular season a chance to win the championship at the end.
American racing icon Jimmy Johnson is coming to Worldwide Technology Raceway on August 19th and 20th. Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
Does that mean that, like in NASCAR, their playoff, everybody races, 46 cars, and only 4 people have a chance to win? When you have these playoff rounds in Supercross and motocross and the Super Motocross, is it just going to be the 22 riders that are going to be competing, or will you have other riders that are going to be on the track at the same time?
Yeah, well, I'm hesitant to talk. So I'm talking to you guys about the kind of the steering committee. So the steering committee is going to be like, Dave, you just did one of our meetings with Speed Freaks. Thanks. But no, so I'll give you basically how it's laying out right now. So yes, 22 riders qualify for the playoffs. So those 22 would race. There's a question, and I believe we're going to go this way, but for anyone who's made a Supercross or motocross podium or won a race for sure, they should be automatically into the playoffs. Now they're going to be seated extremely low if they're not within that top 22, but it could be, someone's injured. Case in point, Cameron McAdoo this year. He's been injured, so he wouldn't necessarily make the top 22 if we were going into the playoffs right now, but he's one of the best riders in the world. So you want him in. You just want him in at a disadvantage. So again, getting ahead of myself with the details, but we want the best riders in the world competing for the world championship. And that's the goal, and that's the plan.
No, that's essentially like a provisional, and it rewards wins, which is good because that means wins matter in Supercross and Motocross beyond just the points for the end of the season. So yeah, that's actually cool. And then when it comes to your 3-race playoff system, then qualifying matters because if you are in there with more than 22 riders that are going to be on the starting gate, you got to qualify to be in. So that adds another element of excitement. I'm liking where this is going.
Nice.
Yeah, this is good.
All right. Statman, what this brings to mind is when we were standing field level in Las Vegas many, many years ago, and that back, they would leave the stadium and come down that back stretch, and they're going 65 miles an hour. Imagine something.
Is that the Monster Energy Cup?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell, whatever it was.
Or
it
the
was
finale,
regardless. Imagine something being on the line, like getting in for this $10 million purse, how nuts it's going to be. I mean, with Chad Reed and James Stewart, you think that was gnarly when they went outside the stadium on that long flat track turn? Think about what's going to happen now to get in for this $10 million. Prater, Stat?
I know. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be some fireworks for sure.
So now it makes sense why Ryan Dungey came out of retirement this year. He's just getting ready because he knew it was coming in 2023.
Yeah, I will keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe a little bit of truth to that.
I love Ryan.
Okay, so we know Los Angeles is on the map. You've taken the track outside the stadium there on Las Vegas at Sam Boyd. You're going to head back to Las Vegas?
I'd love to go back to Las Vegas. Sam Boyd. If Sam Boyd was available, it'd be on the short list. But unfortunately, it's not available at the moment. So we'll see. But one day, if we can get back in there, if it's still around, maybe we'll give it a shot.
So you saying there's a chance?
No, stop it. I'm saying Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He already teased us with super speedways. So maybe Las Vegas Motor Speedway, too. Get the little Burton Smith group back in there because you worked with them with Atlanta. I'm seeing where this is going. Yeah, we got this.
Just having them come out of the peristyle.
Yes.
Out of that with 450s for crying out loud. They're liable to leap out of the peristyle of midfield.
Yeah, you're right.
Evil Knievel's going to be rolling in his grave, man, going, man, I used to do this on a freaking box car. These guys are jumping 24 buses on a 450. Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, Prater, hopefully this wasn't as painful as you anticipated.
No, always happy and love talking to you guys. Appreciate it.
Well, I got to say this, though, real quick before we let you go. You talked about how this all kind of came about COVID-wise. The initial conversation of you guys melding the series together, indoor and outdoor, came together before the world shut down. But COVID helped facilitate this, like Kenny mentioned earlier, breaking of bread. Our relationship with both Supercross and Motocross riders got bigger during COVID too. So whatever you were putting in the water there, it helped all around and more interviews were coming. And we really appreciate that. It's helped everywhere. So thank you.
No, yeah, I think, if there's one thing that COVID did was forced us all to communicate more. And when you communicate, you realize, hey, I've got a lot more in common with those folks than I realized. So I think as long as we keep that up and keep talking to each other, it's only going to get better and better.
Hey, Prater, let's test your knowledge. You see what's over my shoulder there, Skippy?
Where is it?
Can you see what that is?
Which one?
Come on.
The pants.
I see the pants. Yeah, I see the pants.
What year? Well, you know where and who from.
Well, I would say Carmichael. Year. Oh, my friend, you're going to get me. 2004. 5.
Close.
6.
Yes.
Yeah, 2006.
There you go.
All right. I started to say 6, but that was his last year. So that's even, those are nice, man. I like it.
Well done.
Okay,
You did good.
Well, okay, where? It wasn't freaking St. Louis or Seattle. Where?
goodness.
Wait, look at the Longhorn. Where was that?
Well, I'd say somewhere in Texas. Dallas.
Home of the Cowboys, baby.
Oh,
Of course.
Damn it. Right.
oh lordy, lordy.
Look, my entire family are Cowboys fans.
Good for them.
That's why I went my dad grew up in Baltimore, so I'm a Colts fan, but I just couldn't do it. And they all love the Cowboys. But anyway, for another day, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, right. That's
Well, I will say,
Oh, hell.
hold on, with the mutual partner, Lucas Oil, and of course they're with the Outdoor Series. They sponsor both the Colts and the Cowboys. Those are their only two NFL teams, so your family's in good hands.
They are, exactly. I'm a huge Colts fan still. I left a little bit. I left for a little while when they left Baltimore, but then I'm like, I'm back. So I've been an Indianapolis Colts fan for a long, long time.
Boom.
There's some room for Statman's Browns.
no, not after the last 6 months. The last 6 days, for crying out loud. Yeah.
All right.
Got to put all that on another shelf.
There it is. Dave, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thank you guys.
All right, buddy.
See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.